So part of our decision making for arts leaders module, I want to talk about a really neat tool called a matrix map. So an important part of being a nonprofit is sustainability. Can you be financially sustainable over time? But we also have made the distinction that nonprofits have an additional motivation or purpose different from a for-profit business, which is your mission. So nonprofit sustainability lies at the intersection of exceptional impact, meeting your mission, and financial viability. So just as it says, mission impact plus financial viability equals sustainability. And you really need to have both of those things in order to be a successful nonprofit. You can't just have impact with your mission, and you have to support that somehow, because we know that it takes money through all the financial documents you've been preparing. We know it takes money to actually support and sustain a nonprofit. So it's an important element, but not the only element. So we call that a dual bottom line. So adding those two things together really creates a successful, sustainable nonprofit, the mission impact and the financial viability. And this is Jim Collins from the Good to Great books, his hedgehog concept about what makes organizations successful and what makes them go from good to being great. So what are you deeply passionate about? What can you be best in the world at? And what drives your resource engine? And I think that dual bottom line is seen here if you take these two circles and combine them. And that's what nonprofits do. We take what we're passionate about and what we can only do to help support our communities or our neighborhoods or our world. And then we support that by our resources, human resources, time, and financial. So that's really what makes a good organization great. So we turn back to the idea about decision making and what kind of tools can we use to help us understand how we can best impact that dual bottom line. How can we meet our mission and yet still be financially solvent to continue to do the work we want to do and change the world. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a matrix map as a decision-making tool. It was developed by Jean Bell, Jan Masuka, and Steve Zimmerman, and it's been described in their book called Nonprofit Sustainability, Making Strategic Decisions for Financial Viability. And I have the resource at the end of this PowerPoint, as well as a link to their website for many of the tools that you can download and use yourself. So a matrix maps really the success of your organization based on that dual bottom line, on the profitability and the impact of what you're doing, about what the activities your organization is doing, and helps us hone in on what are the most valuable uses of our time, because for a nonprofit, we know that time is a valuable resource and money is finite, so we really have to make sure we're using both of those elements in the best way that we can to really fulfill our mission. So I'm going to go through these different steps here, identifying your lines of business, assessing its relativity to your mission, and determining the profitability, and then you can actually map the results. So the basis for a matrix map is this diagram behind me, and it is a two-axis diagram. So running this way, from this corner to this side, if you look at this arrow, is profitability. So anything behind this line would be not profitable, meaning that it costs your organization money to do this activity. And anything that goes on this side of the line is what makes your organization money. And then the same is true of impact, which runs this way, going upwards. This has low impact on your mission and not helping you create your mission, but then you cross this line and you start having higher and higher impact on what your mission is driving you to do. And so the way they've described it is hearts, stars, stop, and money trees. So in this quadrant, let's start in this quadrant. This has high impact. It really does a lot for our mission, this activity that we're doing, but it doesn't make us a lot of money. And that's okay. So the purpose of this isn't to make everything be mission-driven and make you money, but it's to understand how you're dividing your resources. Because if everything is in this stop column, you may need to relook at how the activities of your organization. So this is the stop column. This is it's a low mission impact. It's really not related to our mission. It's not forwarding what we want to do. And it's not very profitable either. So it's kind of in this quadrant where maybe you should consider stopping doing that activity. Over here is the opposite of low profitability, high profitability. So we do some activities that may not be very related to our mission, but maybe they make us a lot of money. So that could be a gala dinner, and maybe that dinner doesn't have a lot to do with our mission, but we're raising a lot of money and bringing in a lot of constituents to do that. So that might be still an important activity to do. We just don't want all of our efforts to be here, because then we're not really forwarding our mission any longer. So where we would really like to be is in this high mission, high profitability stars area, which is just as it says, that the activity that we're doing has a high impact and high profitability. So perhaps it's an activity that we charge a fee for people to participate in, and it's really delivering our mission as well, but we're making money and we're meeting our mission. So how do you determine if an activity is meeting your mission for the hearts and stars type of a diagram? So the way the authors describe it is looking at your business lines. So I was using the term activity, which also relates to a business line. And the business line is any activity, including fundraising, that your organization does. And here's a few examples here. It could be counseling, it could be dance performances, it could be classes, reforestation, a special event, or even a major donor solicitation that takes money to do that. You can calculate all those different activities of your organization as an element or a business line of your organization. And then you're going to assess the relative mission impact. So we like to assume that everything we do in our organization is top-notch, high quality, highly impactful, and successful. But the reality is that there are some things that are more successful than others. So we're going to go through these different categories here to kind of analyze what we're doing and really decide, is this really having a high impact or not, and being honest with ourselves. And each organization is going to have a different criteria for what is impactful. So these are general categories that you can apply, such as, does it align with your core mission? So if your mission is to bring dance to a particular community, are you doing activities that actually bring dance to a community? And then there's excellence in execution. What are you really good at? What activities are being really successful or high quality? Because we know there are some things that we do really well, some things we're doing and we struggle with, and maybe that's something that falls into that more stop category. And then scale. How many people are you serving? I know some organizations will look at one person at a time, and so that is a different criteria for them. Other organizations want to serve as many people as they can. So they might look at a class that they're holding. Maybe they're holding a painting class, and only a couple of people are signing up for that each semester, and maybe they're deciding that that's not a good use of their resources. And then the depth. How deep is that experience for the user, for the person who's participating in that? Is it kind of shallow and surface, or are they really getting what your mission is hoping they'll get from the activity? Does the activity build community or build constituency? We talk about friend raisers as opposed to fundraisers. Sometimes we do activities just because we're trying to get more people involved with our organization, or to bring awareness to what we're doing. And how important is that for what your activities are? And then fills in an important gap. This is a great question. If the activity went away, would anyone notice? Or could your constituents go down the street and get that service from someone else? So are you really filling a gap, or are you just repeating what other people are doing, duplicating effort, which may not be the most valuable use of your time in your organization? So we look at the mission impact and see if the activity is really being successful and how much impact it's having on that axis. And then we look at the financial impact. And so there are a number of ways to look at your financial impact. One is determining the profitability of your business, and that comes in the form of, does the activity contribute financially to your organization? Is it bringing money into your organization? So if you look at how much money you're spending on a special event and how much money you're making on that special event, what is the net profit? Is there any? And if it is bringing profit to your organization, then it falls into that positive quadrant on the Hearts and Stars chart. But sometimes activities that we do cost our organization money. And that doesn't mean that it's not important. And actually, a lot of the things that we do cost our organization money in order to meet our mission. So you need to look at that too. Is that project or that program, that business line, being subsidized by your organization, and at how much? So what is the loss, if you will, to your organization for that activity? So if you remember at looking at the Hearts and Star chart, if that's still a great activity to have, because you can have a high mission impact with low profitability, and it can still be a really important part of the mix, if you will, of programming that you're doing. And then the other element is the return on investment. So how much money are you putting into a program and how much money are you getting out of it? Again, we're talking a lot about fundraising in this course. And so if you think about fundraising, how much money do you need to lay out and how much money are you making, and does that make it a valuable project for you to do? If you're only making 10% more than you're putting in, does that make it worthwhile? Well, it could be. If the impact to your mission is super high, that could still be a really valuable program. But if you're in the area where you're just trying to make money off of a project and you're only making 10% or 5% in return on investment, then maybe you need to relook at that. And then you can actually chart all of this on a matrix map. And this is an example, and I'm not going to go into all the detail. If you want to learn more about this, you can actually go to the website at the end of the presentation, and you can input all of your business lines into an Excel spreadsheet, all of the financial data, and you can use what's called a bubble chart in Excel, and it'll populate this for you. So I'm not requiring that for the class. What I really would like for you to understand is that sometimes we make decisions based on what's been done in the past, or what someone's excited about doing, and we don't step back and think, well, is this really a profitable element for our organization, or is this really driving our mission home, and how are we thinking about our activities as a whole? So, but this shows you that, like for instance, after school tutoring, high mission impact. That's what this particular organization is really striving to do. But they're not making any profit on it, but boy, they're probably going to keep doing that activity because it's really mission centric. Over here, they've got some foundation grants that cost them not very much money to do, but they're making money on those. Summer camps are their gold mine, so they're making money on the summer camps and it's meeting their mission. So you can kind of see how certain elements of their activities lay out on this chart. And again, I just want to reiterate how you can look at just the simple chart without doing the whole matrix map component with the Excel bubble chart, and start thinking about how the activities of an organization are laying out. You hope that if you have activities in this quadrant, maybe you'll stop doing those and not pay as much investment in those. You want to have probably some activities in all three of these quadrants, and you probably will. So if all of your activity is here in this high profitability, low mission, are you really meeting your mission? And maybe you need to think about what can we do here or here to make sure that we're fulfilling our mission. So look at this chart and think about it, maybe save it for yourself and see if when you're making decisions about what your organization does, that you can consider how that impact and financial sustainability work together. And here's the reference page with the book and the website if you'd like to learn more.